A powerful form of community building that also represented a profound challenge to the privatization of the commons has been the guerrilla gardening movement, or, where it has been accepted by the powers that be, the community gardening movement. In New York City at its peak by the turn of the 20th century, estimates were of as many as 300 guerrilla gardens that were functioning. In many cases, it might be a broad group of activists that we might call outside agitators, at least to the extent that not all of them came from the same borough, who kicked things off, but very soon it would be the locals who kept the community garden going. Sometimes police would raid the gardens and destroy everything, serving the interests of the absentee landlord who ostensibly owned the dirt lot or whatever it was. And then the gardeners would return the next day with whatever tools they had available to start their gardens up once again and reclaim the land.
This neighborhood is blighted, that's what people say. Half the buildings are abandoned, everything is gray. Half the kids have asthma 'cause of the sewage plants nearby, and the mayor doesn't seem to care if we live or die. That's the situation, now let me take you to the part, the center of this neighborhood, what you could call the heart, a vacant lot of broken glass. For years that's what it's been, but the neighbors got together, said this is where we will begin. We'll dig this dirt, plant a seed, push aside the concrete so the earth beneath is free. We'll plant a garden, grow some food to eat, and the sunflowers looking to the sky say we reclaim this street. In one day we had accomplished what the mayor always said. He was trying to bring us through his clubs upon our heads. The neighborhood is clean, the dealer's gone away. We had good food to eat, place for the kids to play. We'll dig this dirt, plant a seed, push aside the concrete so the earth beneath is free. We'll plant a garden, grow some food to eat, and the sunflowers looking to the sky say we reclaim this street. Twice the city came here, said this is not our land. Twice the cops destroyed it, all the work of our own hands. Uprooted plants and broken tools lay scattered all around. But the next day the only thing you could see was fingers in the ground. We'll dig this dirt, plant a seed, push aside the concrete so the earth beneath is free. We'll plant a garden, grow some food to eat, and the sunflowers looking to the sky say we reclaim this street. We reclaim this street.
Another practice that briefly became popular during the period of the global justice movement involved cream pie, or some vegan variation thereof, and delivering it directly to the faces of certain billionaires, Bill Gates, neoliberal economists, Milton Friedman, and other deserving individuals. The Biotic baking brigade was widely considered to have made a strategic error when they threw a mixed berry pie at the mayor of San Francisco instead of a cream pie. Either way, 9/11 put an end to this sort of militant theater in the U.S. for some time to come.
See the man in his limousine, in his tie and well-pressed shirt, hoping that he's not been seen, on the lookout for dessert. He knows that he is guilty Palestine, and a visit might be paid by the vegan vigilantes of the Biotic Baking Brigade. What's that sailing through the air in the boardroom? See them shiver. You can spend your life hoping for pie in the sky, but the Baking Brigade delivers. There's the chorus. If you sell your city's soul to the landlord's greedy pack, you, my friend, have earned yourself a tasty pastry snack. You can call yourself a liberal and hope your crimes will fade, but your sellout soul will be exposed by the Biotic Baking Brigade. What's that sailing through the air in the boardroom? See them shiver. You can spend your life hoping for pie in the sky, but the Baking Brigade delivers. If you cut down the last of the forests, spew poison in the air, don't you be surprised to find that cheesecake in your hair. Yes, if you are a corporate criminal, you've surely made the grade to receive a fresh baked goodie from the Biotic Baking Brigade. Here we go. What's that sailing through the air in the boardroom? See them shiver. You can spend your life hoping for pie in the sky, but the Baking Brigade delivers. So beware all you scoundrels of industry, we know of your disgrace. So smile for the camera with the cream pie in your face. You can hope that we won't find you out as you're hiding in the shade. Someday soon you'll meet your doom, the Biotic Baking Brigade. Here we go. What's that sailing through the air in the boardroom? See them shiver. You can spend your life hoping for pie in the sky, but the Baking Brigade delivers. One more time. What's that sailing through the air in the boardroom? See them shiver. You can spend your life hoping for pie in the sky, but the Baking Brigade delivers.
General Ariel Sharon had been most deeply implicated in the genocidal massacres of Palestinian women and children carried out during the Israeli occupation of Lebanon at the Sabra and Shatila refugee camps in 1982. So when Sharon led a visit to the most holy Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem on the anniversary of the Sabra and Shatila massacres in September 2000, it was meant to be provocative, and this was understood. Years of conflict ensued as Palestinians attempted to resist the continual theft of more and more of their land and the continuation of a type of apartheid rule easily identifiable by any South African as such. The years of resistance that followed Sharon's visit to the mosque quickly began to be called the Second Intifada. September 2000 would also be the beginning for me in advocating for the Palestinian cause. My first experience with this was writing the song Children of Jerusalem, which resulted in getting what was to be my second tour of Israel canceled, and was also the beginning for me of becoming acquainted with a whole lot of wonderful Palestinians.
Did you see them praying? Watch the army marching in. As they clubbed old women, did you see the general grin? Watch the stones fly and the snipers taking aim.
On Shatila's birthday, it's a calculated game, and they're gunning down the children of Jerusalem. Did you hear him screaming? Watch the horror on his face as he hid for cover in a tiny unprotected space. Did you hear his father pleading? There is a child here, trying to protect his son, who yelled in horror and in fear that they're gunning down the children of Jerusalem. Did you feel the wind blow from the helicopter blades? Did you smell the tear gas, see the demolition raids? Did you see the rockets and the dumb bullets fly? Did you feel the horror to watch one more young boy die as they're gunning down the children of Jerusalem? Did you see the roadblocks letting nobody go past? Watch the blood flow as time is running fast. See someone's brother taking his last breath, so close to the hospital but closer still to death. Then they're gunning down the children of Jerusalem. Did you hear the fat cat say it's not what it appears? It's an armed uprising, a realization of our fears. Do you hear them chanting that this is their homeland? They want what's ours and we've got to make a stand. So we're gunning down the children of Jerusalem. Some want power, and it seems the world's theirs to give. Some just want peace and a decent place to live. Some talk of destiny and what their God has willed, while a mother weeps that her 9-year-old's been killed, and they're gunning down the children of Jerusalem. They're gunning down the children of Jerusalem. They're gunning down the children of Jerusalem. They're gunning down the children of Jerusalem.
The attacks on the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and what would have been the attack on the White House, hadn't been foiled over Pennsylvania, gave rise to an outpouring of sympathy for the victims, and it gave rise immediately to a widespread anti-war sentiment that was born out of the knowledge that American imperial retaliation was going to be extremely violent and counterproductive. There were, of course, many who knew no better than to swallow the patriotic propaganda about them hating us for our freedom and democracy. But there were many others, like September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows, who understood that there was history here. These attacks didn't come out of nowhere, and besides any of that, cycles of retaliation have to stop, or else they just keep producing victims and resentment. For many people trying to come to grips with this new reality, the image of the firefighter was a powerful one. All over the world, in New York or Kabul or Baghdad or Jerusalem, firefighters rush into burning buildings to try to save lives.
I saw the plane hit the building, the flames and the billowing smoke. I saw the glass, metal, paper, and stone, everything shattered and broke. I was there with my people, Engine Company 24. We marched into the building, got as far as the 35th floor.
Black smoke and the heat was like nothing I'd seen in all of my years. With each step in that burning inferno, you could feel destiny near. Amidst all of the falling girders, the sheetrock and God knows what else, I tried to find the survivors, those who made it to the stairwells. I carried the wounded to safety, if that's what you might call the street, with bodies and boulders and metal all crashing down at your feet. As number 2 was collapsing, when only 10 floors still stood, everything was falling around me like it was made out of cardboard and wood. That's when I heard someone trapped underneath the debris. I started pulling at something, and that's when the fire got me. I was pinned neath the rubble, the flames were licking my coat, the pain, the unbearable agony, and then that was all that she wrote. But I just wish I could tell you before I am taken away that I've seen a lot of this world, and there's something that I gotta say. I don't believe in politics, I believe in the human race. I believe in the goodness of people in New York or some faraway place. I believe in my daughter, and I believe in my wife, and may nobody's father be taken to avenge the loss of my life. Some people may call me a brave man, and this may very well be, but the firefighters of Kabul are just as brave men as me.
Of course, for those who were not born yesterday, who had been paying any attention to the extent of the suffering caused in the Arab world alone by U.S. foreign policy over the previous few decades, there was so much to be outraged about. You certainly didn't need to be from Iraq or Palestine to see that either. As much as lots of people sympathized with the innocents killed in the daycare center and the towers, around the world Osama bin Laden became a folk hero. In Mexico, he became one of the most popular subjects of the outlaw ballads of the times, the corridos. Bin Laden himself spelled it out in his much-censored Letter to America. The Iraqis have suffered so terribly under war and sanctions. The Holy Land of Saudi Arabia is occupied by foreign troops. The Holy Land of Palestine is too, and it all has to stop. You kill people for decades, eventually they'll respond.
Life could have been different. You think I don't know? I could have been born in Paris or in the Wisconsin snow. But I'm from this desert, here I will stand, and I will meet you in the promised land. You know, I went to college to be an engineer. I thought I'd do something useful, but what good is that here? When your jet fighters bomb any buildings that stand, fighter. I didn't choose, but I love my people, and I can follow your cues. If destroying our world is your leader's command, then I will meet you in the promised land. My name is Mohammed, but I don't know if it's true. If we go any place better when our life here is through. But you have butchered my family, you must understand. I will meet you in the promised land. I know it's not pretty, but for all that you've done, for all the widows and orphans, for all the wars that you've won, I must teach you a lesson. Maybe you'll understand. I will meet you in the promised land. So I will get in this plane, and when it's in the air, to your symbols of power and our source of despair, I will look through the cockpit, I will steady my hand, I will meet you in the promised land. I will meet you in the promised land.
People who are too young to have been consuming news 2 decades ago are sometimes surprised at the total propaganda that pretty much the entire Western media has turned into since the wars in Ukraine and in Gaza. Those of us old enough to remember the years immediately following the 9/11 attacks recall that the bipartisan propaganda was just as detached from reality and removed from history as the nonsense getting spewed at us today. Whether you are tuning into Fox, CNN, or NPR, it was all about wrapping yourself in the American flag and hailing the war on terror, whatever that was. The degree to which the whole atmosphere within political and media circles was obsessed with a certain militaristic authoritarian form of patriotism can be seen in the congressional vote on September 14, 2001, to grant President Bush unlimited powers to attack anyone, anywhere. Out of all 535 members of the U.S. Congress, there was one single dissenting vote: Barbara Lee from Berkeley, California.
She grew up in Texas on a military base. As a teen in California, she found her place, standing up with those who had got the shorter straw, speaking out for justice on both sides of the law. She came to my attention in 1998 when she was elected and she joined the ship of state. But it was in her second term when she really made the news as the sole dissenter, the only one to refuse. Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee. Let me take this chance to thank you for your humanity, Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee. The month was September 2001. It was time to show the world these colors don't run. Flags of war were waving from New York to LA. From Shanksville to the Pentagon, they chanted USA. Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee. Surrounded by such darkness, but still able to see. Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee. The vote came to the Congress to give the president the right to bomb and to invade any nation in his sights, to kill in any country where his generals want to go. 500 voted yes, 1 woman voted no. Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee. A few hundred more like you, what a nation it could be. Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee. There among the madmen of Washington, D.C., Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee, Barbara Lee.
Other things happened in September 2001, but they didn't get reported on much. One woman from Puerto Rico named Ana Belen Montes was sentenced to 25 years in a federal prison. Ana Belen Montes had a long career in the U.S. Department of Defense, rising to the highest levels on Caribbean policy. All the while, she had been spying for Cuba. Like others who put their freedom at great risk by doing such dangerous work, she believed that U.S. terrorism against the Cuban people was wrong. Like other spies, she was doing her part to counter the U.S.'s anti-Cuban policies. Unfortunately for her, the FBI became suspicious, and the one night they visited her home, she had failed to run the program her handlers had instructed her to run every night to clear her hard drive of any evidence of the work she was doing on behalf of the Cuban people. This song eventually found its way to Cuba, and has apparently been sung there by Nueva Trova under Vicente Feliu.
"25 years was what the judge said. Then he banged his gavel and shook his head. You've done wrong, you broke our trust. Now we caught you, and this is a bust. Now you'll spend these decades behind bars of steel. Thought you could play with us, but this is for real. You gave away secrets to the enemy. Now you'll live in prison in the land of the free. But here beneath this Cuban sun, I'd just like to thank you for all you've done. Today I'm torn apart. Ana Belen Montes, you are a spy after my own heart. I obeyed my conscience instead of the law. So you said at your secret trial, you took no money for your work, so says your declassified file. You warned the Cubans of the plans of the assassins from the U.S. Just what other good deeds you did, they may never tell us. But here beneath this a spy after my own heart. Of the DOD, you served the common good, working alone night and day. You did just what you should. Of all the great people I have known, there are few that I'd call greater than one woman who obeyed a higher law, the judge called a traitor. But here beneath this Cuban sun, I'd just like to thank you for all you've done. Today I'm torn apart. Ana Belen Montes, you are a spy after my own heart.
As soon as the 9/11 attacks took place, people all over the place were asking questions. Who did this? Why? How did they pull it off? Some of the answers were pretty obvious, although much time and energy was spent disputing them. There were 19 hijackers on 4 planes. They were all ready to die, and they knew how to fly. But even without disputing those details, many questions remain, especially when we learn of the Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda connections, and if we know how deeply the CIA has been involved in the formation of Al-Qaeda and the use of the network to fight the Soviets in Afghanistan. And then some of us have other questions. I have a friend who had a little business operating out of an office building in Hollywood, Florida. He noticed a lot of things about the other businesses that shared the 9th floor of the Hollywood Bread building with him. Why were most of them Israelis? Why did they often not seem to know what kind of company they worked for? If they were indeed a moving company, why did they have so much fancy IT equipment coming in and out of the building? Why was the janitor found dead on the 10th floor where no one was allowed to go? Why did they claim he drank himself to death when he didn't drink? My friend had experiences that led him to wonder about other things that in retrospect would have seemed to be of great interest to, say, the FBI, but which they showed no interest in when he brought it to their attention. That the alleged ringleader of the hijackers, Saudi citizen Mohammed Atta, shared the outdoor smoking area with people from his building and fraternized regularly with the Israelis, who he clearly knew. My friend had other questions, like why all the Israelis and all their equipment disappeared completely from all of their offices on September 12, 2001.
In a building called Hollywood Bread, now more than 2 decades ago, the stuff that went on in that structure, I wonder who cares and who knows. For years I said nothing about it. On the road in an RV, I figured if they were trying to track me down, I didn't want to make it too easy. In a building called Hollywood Bread, I had an office on the 9th floor, and along with mine, there were several more. One with so many computers that I wondered just how much IT does it take to run a little fleet of trucks for a trucking company. In a building called Hollywood Bread, I didn't wonder too much back then, but in retrospect, the moving company, staffed only by Israeli men, was a strange operation, particularly because some of the guys, when I asked them,
didn't seem to know who their boss was. In a building called Hollywood Bread, which was 10 stories high, a guy I knew went to the 10th floor and summarily died. Men in black with earpieces showed up. They said he got drunk in his head. Well, I knew the dude didn't drink, but he had the keys to Hollywood Bread. In a building called Hollywood Bread, the smokers all went out to toke. That's where you might meet your neighbors, outside having a smoke. That's how we all knew Mohammed, the Israeli movers as well. The truckers with all of their IT equipment, the tale gets stranger, I'll tell. In a building called Hollywood Bread, that was the scene up until September 11th, 2001, when thousands of people were killed. Suddenly all of my neighbors on the 9th floor were gone without a trace. All of their IT equipment, as if it had just been erased. Building called Hollywood Bread, I called the FBI. I thought they might want to talk to people who knew the guy. They never called me back, and I still don't know what to do. But I thought I'd let you know that all my words are true. In a building called Hollywood Bread, now more than 2 decades ago, the stuff that went on in that structure, I wonder who cares and who knows.
As with other wars it waged in other countries, when the U.S. military invaded and took over Afghanistan from the Taliban, which didn't even control the entire country at the time of the U.S. invasion, there was much talk from the generals about precision strikes. In reality, day after day, the U.S. Air Force bombed targets that were, for one reason or another, entirely civilian in nature, such as a wedding, or in the case of Kama'ado, a village in which the people were getting up in the morning and making breakfast, on one fateful morning in December 2001.
The army commander spoke to the media. He said, "This is a nation of laws. We do not target civilians, and we only bomb with cause." And he said as he looked into the camera with a cold, bone-chilling stare, "As for the village of Kama'ado, nothing happened there." In the village where nothing happened, most people had risen from bed. Women were preparing to cook and make sure every mouth would be fed. Just before the beginning of Ramadan, water was set out to boil. Little fires were heating tin kettles upon the dry Afghan soil. In the village where nothing happened, children played in the street. Men were bending in prayer, some with no shoes on their feet. It was another day like so many that had gone down before, and nobody told Kama'ado just what lay in store.
In the village where nothing happened, nobody knew that this place would be changed forever by an American B-52. The bombs fell all around them, so many a deafening blast, and the people of Camado learned that life can end so fast. In the village where nothing happened, the houses collapsed in the morn. Not one terrorist died there, but maybe some were born. In the village of Camado, there are no underground caves. There's just rubble and dust and craters, and 115 new graves.
Even after the Cuban Revolution in 1959, the U.S. held on to a military base on the island of Cuba, which it still controls today. Now and again, the military uses it to house refugees or to detain people that the U.S. leadership doesn't want to afford due process or other basic rights. In January 2002, the Bush administration opened Guantanamo Bay up once again to house anyone they had rounded up in Afghanistan or elsewhere in the course of the War on Terror that they didn't want to release, despite generally having no evidence that they committed any crimes. U.S. officials set up what has essentially been a concentration camp-style prison, with conditions intended to break people mentally and physically, along with other similar prisons the U.S. has run in Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere. In pursuing this course of action, total rejection of international law or any basic notions of fairness or morality in the prosecution of the War on Terror, the Bush administration and all the others that followed in its footsteps set the example, showing the world that all this talk of democracy and freedom was a bunch of nonsense when it really matters.
The conquistadors came with their sabers and guns, and they raped and they slaughtered until they were done. They hacked and they killed and left no one alive. Then they brought in the slaves they allowed to survive. Welcome to the new world, you could hear the men say, as they sat on the shores of Guantanamo Bay. 400 years independence was short. That's just how it is with the deep water port. The battleships came and they never left shore. Tasting the conquest, they just wanted more. The sign that said, welcome to the US of A. In the Republic of Cuba, Guantanamo Bay. Past the barbed wire in the field of mines, you can see the men who left their families behind to burn neath the sun, to be tortured and killed, where their stomachs are empty and their spirits are grilled. If you're looking for freedom, this is the price you must pay. It's written in blood on Guantanamo Bay. Vultures, they circle at ease overhead. The living may live and the dead will be dead. The time it may come in this tropical heat that they'll have to go somewhere else to eat. Maybe a storm will come wash it away. but still the guard towers glitter on Guantanamo Bay.